Notes number 4, compound inequalities part 2. Set up the left-hand side of your notebook right next to part number 1. All right, this is going to go in box number 1. And we have the second type of compound inequalities. We call them the AND inequalities. Oops. All right, an AND inequality is an AND compound inequality is basically when your solution set is between two numbers. So the shaded region actually meets in the middle. As you can see on this example, my shaded region meets in the middle between the numbers -2 and 5. Okay, so let's go ahead and write our set notation for this problem. Our set notation is going to be the set of x values where -2 is less than or equal to x and it's less than 5. Notice how this time my solution set is written as one inequality with two inequalities in it. So usually we start off with the lowest number on the left hand side, the highest number on the right hand side, and that shaded region represents my x value. Reason I have less than or equal to is because this is a closed circle. Oops. This is a closed circle, so that's the reason I have this less than or equal to. And I have an open circle here, so that's why this is just less than. All right, interval notation. For interval notation, I basically have -2, comma 5. -2 has a bracket, and it's a bracket because it's a closed circle, meaning it includes -2 as a solution. And +5, I have a parenthesis because it's an open circle and excludes 5 from being a solution. All right, box number 2. So we have two inequalities, and in between the inequalities, I do have the word "and." So whenever you have two inequalities and they have the statement or the word "and" in between them, you have to combine the solution once you finish solving each inequality. And you'll see what I mean right now. Let's go ahead and solve the one on the left-hand side. So subtract 1, subtract 1. I get 2w is less than or equal to 10. Divide both sides by 2, and I get w is less than or equal to 5. That is my first solution. On the right-hand side, start off by subtracting 1 on both sides, and I get -5w is less than 40. Divide both sides by -5, and I get w is less than -8. All right, hopefully you, ladies and gentlemen, were able to identify my mistake. My mistake was that I divided both sides by a negative number, which is -5. Therefore, I should have reversed, I should have reversed my inequality. That means it should have been w is greater than -8 instead. So this one was incorrect. And let's go ahead and graph it on my number line. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. negative 9, negative 8, negative 7, negative 6, negative 5, 4. All right. So let's start off with the one in blue. So I have W is less than or equal to 5 because it has a less than or equal to. It's a closed circle. It means it includes 5 as a solution. And I am going to be shading towards the left-hand side of my number line because that's where W is going to be less than. And I continue. Let me put an arrow showing it's going that way. Next one, we have W is greater than negative 8. So I have an open circle because it's greater. It excludes negative 8 from being part of my solution. And I am shading towards the right-hand side. Okay? In reality, what ends up happening is that all this section in the middle are possible solutions. So let's go ahead and write our answer in set notation, which we have the set of W values, where negative 8 is less than X and is less than or equal to positive 5. Interval notation, we have negative 8 comma positive 5. The negative 8 has a parenthesis because it's an open circle, and the positive 5 we have a bracket because it's a closed circle. All right, let's go to box number 3. All right, notice that in this compound inequality, our solution is, our inequality is written as one inequality with two inequality symbols. So we're gonna go ahead and perform each operation to each section. I like to think of these as sections. So if you notice, I know that some of you in Algebra 1 used to draw your lines between the equal signs, right? So we have 3 sections here. Notice that I'm trying to get the variable by itself. That means I have to move the -1. So we're gonna add 1 to all 3 sections. So I have -2 plus 1, it gives me -1, is less than or equal to A, less than or equal to 7. Now that I have my solution, I can go ahead and write it in set notation, which is the set of A values where -1 is less than or equal to A, less than or equal to 7. Okay, my interval notation, I have -1 comma 7, bracket around the -1, and again it's a bracket around the -1 because it includes the equal sign, and then I have bracket around the 7 because it also has the equal sign. All right, let's go to box number 4. So for box number 4, same thing. If I split it into 3 different sections, right? I have to perform each section. I have to perform the operation to each section. I'm gonna start off by subtracting 4. I have 0 is less than 3p, which is less than 15. Last but not least, divide everything by 3. And I get 0 is less than p, which is less than 5. Okay, let me draw this on my number line. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, set notation. I have the set of p-values where 0 is less than p and p is less than 5. Interval notation. I have 0, comma, 5, and parentheses around both of them. I did forget to graph it on my number line, but let me go ahead and do that now. So I have 0, open circle, and it's an open circle because it does not have the equal sign. And notice that it says 0 is less than p, meaning that p is larger or bigger number, which is on the right hand side. And then I go to the next part. Oops. And I have 5. P is less than 5, and p is going to be less than 5 on the left hand side. So all that shaded region represents my solution. Let's go to box number 5. Same thing, we have 3 different sections. So let's go ahead and start off by adding 2 to all 3 sections. And I have 30 is greater than negative 10m, which is greater than or equal to negative 5. Then I'm going to divide all 3 sections by negative 10. And I have negative 3 is greater than m, which is greater than or equal to 0.5. Hopefully you ladies and gentlemen were able to identify the mistake. I'm supposed to reverse the inequalities, and the reason I'm reversing them is because I am dividing each section by a negative. So I have negative 3 is less than m, which is less than or equal to 0.5. So this was the incorrect step, okay? Let's go ahead and write our solution set in set notation, where we have the set of m values where negative 3 is less than m, and that is less than or equal to 0.5. Interval notation. I have negative 3 comma 0.5. Negative 3 has a parentheses. 0.5 has a bracket, again because it includes the equal sign here. And that is my solution. Last one, we have box 6. All right. First thing that I normally like to do is I like to get rid of the fractions if I have any fractions. So what I am going to do to each section, I am going to multiply each section by negative 2. And the reason I'm multiplying times negative 2 is because that is going to help me get rid of that denominator, which is negative 2. So negative 2 times negative 5 gives me 10. So I have 10 is greater than or equal to 12 minus x, because these cancel, which is greater than 4. Notice that I also reverse my inequality because I am dividing by a negative on both sides, or on all 3 sides, you can say, or all 3 sections. Subtract 12 on both sides, on all 3 sections, subtract 12, and I get negative 2 is greater than or equal to negative x, which is greater than negative 8. Last but not least, divide everything by negative 1. And once again, my inequalities are going to reverse, and I have 2 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 8. Let's go ahead and write my solution set in set notation, where I have the set of x values, where 2 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 8. Interval notation, I have 2 comma 8. 2 has a bracket because it's in less than or equal to, and 8 has a parenthesis because it's just less than. If it helps you, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget you're more than welcome to draw the number line. Notice that in some examples I drew the number line, some examples I didn't. But if it does help, don't forget to draw your number line. Don't forget to write down or highlight questions you might have, because you will be sharing those with the class next week when we return on Monday.